Vaudeville Vixens, that is number 1 or 2. That's Sugarlumps. And for the Res Dolls in the black and white, that is number 10 meters, and that's Sprout the Tail. Vaudeville Vixens will be starting this one out with one blocker down, just like in hockey. If you commit a penalty, you have to go to the penalty box and skate short-handed. Perhaps you do that already.
Tail is our lead jammer coming out of the third turn. Now Sugarlumps is being held back by Lady Hoo-Ha.
Sugarlumps was getting twisted around like some sort of contrapposto position, like Michelangelo used to paint people. Consequently, she is still enmeshed in the thick of that. And jam's going to be called again by the Res Dolls. They are going to get 4 fingers, this time to 0 for the Vaudeville Vixens. Over score after 2 jams. We've got 8 for the Reservoir Dolls, 3 for the Vaudeville Vixens at the all-important 28-minute and 6-second mark of the first period. On the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens, that is number 63. That is Velma Von Tussle, if I don't miss my guess, going up against for the Res Dolls in the black and white. Is that number 31? I believe it is. That would be a Lady Hoo-Ha for said Res Dolls with a 5-point lead as we start the first game.
Velma Von Tussle goes down coming out of the first turn, giving Lady Hoo-Ha a chance to grab lead jammer status. And Rascal is being released from the penalty box from that first down.
Reservoir Dolls absolutely owning the lead jammer category thus far. 3 jams, 3 lead jams for said Reservoir Dolls.
Now, if you notice shenanigans going backwards there, that's because Velma Von Tussle has to come in behind her since she's the skater who knocked her out of play.
Lady Hoo-Ha going around on the outside, didn't get her full 4 points, got 3, called it off very wisely before her opposite number on the Vaudeville Vixens could score anything. That is going to bulge the Reservoir Dolls lead up to 11-3 at the 27-minute mark. Back on the jammer line once again for the Reservoir Dolls in the black and the white. That is Mouse, number 4. And for the first time tonight on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens, that is section 9. I believe that's Major Kusanagi.
It certainly is, Reverend Noah. It's actually Major Kusaki's first jam of the season. She was out for the first 2 bouts of the season, and this is her first bout on skates and her first jam. Mouse is your lead jammer coming out of the third turn, and she's ready to start scoring points with Major Kusanagi hot on her tail.
And we saw her take a start there behind the jammer line from several feet back, which she's been doing all season while other jammers have been really towing right up to the line.
We'll let the Canadian football start because the Canadian football receivers can move towards the line of scrimmage. Nobody else calls it that, but I just like to be a rugged individualist and trailblazer. Back on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens, who are now down by an even 10 points. That is number 14, Darling Nikki. And for the first time tonight on the jammer line for the Res Dolls, that is number B122, and that's Killums.
Killums has the distinction of being one of the very few skaters with the Vaudeville Dolls to join the Dairyland Dolls All-Star team on her rookie year.
We had an illegal procedure being called, and now we've got Tipsy Velvet skating. I don't know what next going on, but I know that's the 5th lead jammer in a row for the Reservoir Dolls. Don't look to the announcers for guidance on that one. I'm as mystified as everyone else. Big 3-wall, now a 4-wall in the back of pink and brown. Unfortunately for the Vaudeville Vixens, part of that wall is containing their jammer, who has yet to be sprung from the pack. Meanwhile, Reservoir Dolls jammer on her scoring pass. Looks like she is going to pick up the full 4. And I do beg your pardon, that's 5 points. That's our first grand slam of the evening for the Reservoir Dolls. Darling Nikki now out and about. She is on her scoring pass. The bad news is that Killums is on her 2nd scoring pass, and she's already scored 5. She gets knocked out at turn 3 and wisely calls that jam off.
The power of having lead jam status.
It's kind of like the miracle of shame, but better. 20-3 is our score at the all-important 24-minute and 26-second mark of the first period. Back on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens. That is 1 or 2. That is Sugar Lumps in the brown and the pink. Going up against number 31 for the Res Dolls in the black and the white. That is Lady Hoo-Ha.
We'd like to thank one of our sponsors, Rude Chicks.
The Richard Bernal defense is doing an excellent job, but not denying Sugar Lumps lead jammer status. I believe this is the first time the Vaudeville Vixens have taken lead jammer status in this bout, and if last bout was any indication, Sugar Lumps is going to make the most of it.
You are correct. It took them 6 tries, but they finally got lead jammer status. However, Reservoir Dolls doing well to counteract that. Lady Hoo-Ha right on the tail of that Vaudeville Vixens jammer, Sugar Lumps. She's going to have to call it off. We're going to have to play Elister, like my family says when we're playing shot stop. 0s for everybody. The status quo is maintained. 20-3 remains our score. Back on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens. That's number 63, Velma Von Tussle. And she's going up against number 33, Charlie Hustle. We could make that into a poem and rhyme it if we had to.
Wouldn't be hard, and it would probably be a lot of fun.
All right, we're going to bust rhymes later. Yeah, Charlie Hustle around on the outside. Charlie Hustle, your lead jammer, Reservoir Dolls.
Well, Velma Von Tussle is being held back by Wipeout Scout, and rubber with a gun. Mouse, Niner, knocking her to the outside, as Charlie Hustle into her first scoring pass. She's lapped everybody for a 5-point grand slam.
This has the potential to be a mighty big doll, mighty big jam for the Reservoir Dolls. Vaudeville Vixens down 2 blockers, and Charlie Hustle making hay while the sun shines. Looked like she just picked up her. Oh, that is a track cut. That is going to send Charlie Hustle to the penalty box. I am not sure exactly how many points she picked up on that, but it is going to be a power jam in favor of the Vaudeville Vixens.
It looked to me like Team Captain Montana Slamma knocked Charlie out on the inside of the track, and Charlie coming to the major track cut by coming in front of her.
Meanwhile, Vaudeville Vixen is trying to send another Vaudeville Vixen to the penalty box. There is no room. They're going to have to skate around until a seat opens up for them.
Now remember, every time that Velma Von Tussle makes her way through the back, she will score points for Charlie Hustle sitting in the penalty box. So she'll have to pass 4 to get by.
Now things went from being a potentially huge game-breaking jam for the Reservoir Dolls to a get back in the game jam for the Vaudeville Vixens. That's another grand slam for said Vixens. Vixens pleading the lead in twain. Velma Von Tussle looking to pick up what might be her 3rd grand slam of the jam, and I believe she does. She does indeed. 5 points. You're saying, how do they score 5 points when there's only 3 Reservoir Dolls on the track? I'll tell you, it's kind of like Ghost Man when you're playing baseball in the backyard. Once the jammer passes the first blocker, the rearmost blocker, they get a phantom point for everybody sitting in the penalty box. That's what happened. Some more points for everybody. Let's look at that gosh darn score.
Minutes in, we have a 7-point game. 22 points for the Vaudeville Vixens, 29 points for the Reservoir Dolls. We'd like to remind everyone we're having a bad tattoo contest at the poster booth behind the doors where you came in. If you go and vote for the worst tattoo, we win the best or worst tattoo.
And from out of the penalty box into your heart, lead jammer is Charlie Hustle of the Reservoir Dolls. You absolutely positively can become lead jammer even if you started seated in the penalty box. Because we believe in the redemption of the human soul. That's the way it works like that. Vaudeville Vixens jammer now on her scoring pass, and that is, in case we did not inform you of that, Meiji Kusanagi. 4 points already scored by Charlie Hustle. And Charlie Hustle looking to add additional points. Smothering defense there by the 2 remaining Res Dolls blockers. That was number 366, Gene Lane, and I didn't get the number of that other violent collider.
Then we have Darlene Dickey with the star on the helmet for the Vaudeville Vixens, and Lady Hoo-Ha. Major
Fingers will not be taking a seat. That is going to cause Darling Nikki to leave the track. We're going to start things out with a power jam situation for the Res Dolls. Courtesy of number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha, the only jammer running unopposed. Res Dolls are one blocker down, unfortunately, for the Vaudeville Vixens. They are one jammer now. Pack opens up a bit like the Red City, although nobody's wearing red. That will come later in the next game. The referees are throwing up their hands. We jammer once again for the Red Dolls. And that's number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha.
Lady Hoo-Ha fails by those sleepers like they were standing still because thanks to the pack advantage of the Res Dolls, they are. And Rascal goes down with Lady Hoo-Ha.
Back at a standstill. Hey, hello, Mike Works. How about that? They like me, they don't like you. Lady Hoo-Ha fighting that last defender.
Taking Lady Hoo-Ha to school, making her earn those points. Oh, and she sidesteps the block of pink.
Is that 20 points so far for the Res Dolls?
It is 20 points for Lady Hoo-Ha in this jam. I think she's about to make it 25.
Hoo-Ha was turning sideways like Particle Man and picked up a grand slam as a result. Worse yet, after kissing the cement, the jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens going back in the penalty box. Once again, it is a power jam for the Res Dolls, and suddenly from going to a 7-point game, the Res Dolls have got 64 points on the board. I beg your pardon, Reservoir Dolls now doing 69, Vaudeville Vixens stuck on 26. Busta Crimes wants to get in on the slam bang penalty box action, so does Rascal. That jam's going to come to a merciful conclusion for the Vaudeville Vixens, but holy smoke, suddenly we got a 43-point lead. Reservoir Dolls got 69, that's 2 times 23. Vaudeville Vixens have 26. That's the number of letters in the alphabet, but that is not as much fun as the other number.
We'd like to thank Shamrock Bar at 117 West Main in downtown Madison, longtime Derby sponsor and host of some of our after parties.
The official scores are going to tell us how many points were scored there. There's a lot.
5.
All right, that was either a 30-point jam or a 35-point jam. The brilliance of it all was so blinding that we've even lost track of it, but that was an amazing jam, wouldn't you say?
Math ceased to make sense.
Yes. It's sort of like when that Superman 1 thing where he spun the world backwards and everything got all crazy. Anyway, 69-26, our new score. You think I should read this sponsored copy? 35 points on that jam, ladies and gentlemen. What more need I say? The crowd goes wild. All right then. That's your win. On the jammer line, I believe that's for the first time tonight. We have got number 6, that is Wipeout Scout for the Res Dolls, as she is jamming unopposed due to the penalty enforced on the Vaudeville Vixens jammer.
There's some debate at the scoring table over whether or not 35 points is a league record. If you currently hold a record higher than that, we're wrong.
You can produce evidence to the contrary. Please debunk our myths at once. Wipeout's go jogging left, jogging right. Darling Nikki forced to a knee at the back of the pack. Dolly Parton and Cohort providing staunch defense up in front. Referees throwing up their hands. That means no pack. That means they've got to let that jammer go free. Once again, lead jammer goes to Wipeout Scout and the Reservoir Dolls.
Both penalty boxes are filling up now. As Sugar Lumps goes to join Major Kishnaki and Rascal in the Vixens Jammer Jam, leaving Darling Nikki and Dolly Parton May to go it alone against Mouse Violet Fire. And Major Kishnaki is out and down by Mouse. Remember, she must come in behind the player who knocks her out, or she'll go back to jammer jail for a major track kick.
And once again, Wipeout Scout pokes her head outside that pack. Gets briefly eclipsed by the Vaudeville Vixens jammer. Referees are saying pack is in the back. Everybody else is a statistical outlier. Vaudeville Vixens doing a nice job recomposing themselves and keeping Wipeout Scout bottled up. Nice defense being played by Darling Nikki. And not before 5 more points can be added to the Reservoir Dolls account. They have now tripled up the Vaudeville Vixens and then some. 79 for the Res Dolls, 26 for the Vixens as we get to the 15-minute and 20-second mark of the first period.
Wearing the scarf, the Vaudeville Vixen is Mustang. And I've just been informed by our stats crew that this is her 500th jam for the Mad Rollin' Dolls. Number 66 Mustang in her 500th jam against number 10 Sprout in the Tail.
Looks like the Vixens will be skating in two. Oh my goodness, they're skating 2 blockers short, but the 2 blockers they had making mincemeat on the Reservoir Dolls jammer. However, it is all ultimately a wash as the Reservoir Dolls capture lead jammer once again, courtesy of number 10 inches. Excuse me, 10 meters. Sprout in the Tail. No, 10 inches. I thought it was meters. I guess that'd be a pretty ridiculous tail. Sprout in the Tail again. Dash to the infield, but she's up and about, and I believe she picked up a grand slam. She did indeed. 5 more points for the Res Dolls.
Said it does get the action underway immediately once that whistle is blown.
We're busy people. We got places to go and things to do. We can't sit around waiting for half the team to take a knee anymore. Whistle's getting blown out. Nice defense being played by the Res Dolls. They are keeping that Vaudeville Vixens jammer bottled up. And that's another grand slam for the Res Dolls, courtesy of Sprout in the Tail.
That's very often when you have the Reservoir Dolls on the track and it's the other team that is committing all the penalties. And Sugar Lumps gets out some lumps to Sprout in the Tail, sending her to the outside of the track at the 3rd turn.
If you can knock over all 3 of the announcers, you win a prize. Anyway, Mustang out and about on her scoring pass for the Vaudeville Vixens. Vaudeville Vixens in dire need of points. They'll get none of this jam. The jam is called after one more grand slam for the ladies in the black and the white.
Well, I've been asked to remind everyone that the Res Dolls do have a rookie without a name. They're having a Name the Res Doll contest at the merch table. Stop by, buy a t-shirt, buy a program, and submit your idea for the new Res Dolls name.
That's right, that submission box is right next to the shout-out box, where for $1 you can put something on a piece of paper and we'll say it out loud as well as we can.
Submission. And on and off that jammer line, lead jammer once again for the Res Dolls. That's number 31, that is Lady Hoo-Ha. Breaking the pack now and starting her scoring pass. That's number 63 for the Vaudeville Vixens in the pink and the brown. That is Velma Montussle. Lady Hoo-Ha out and about, got 4 points. The good news is it's not a grand slam. The bad news is Reservoir Dolls pushing the 100 mark. Vaudeville Vixens have been stuck in the 20s for quite some time now. Back on the jammer line. I believe this is the jammers with whom we started those many minutes ago. Number 4, Mouse in the black and the white of the Res Dolls. And number 14, Darling Nikki in the brown and the pink of the Vaudeville Vixens.
We'd like to thank the Shoebox in Black Earth, one of the largest independent shoe stores in the USA, representing over 100 shoe companies.
Coming out of the 2nd turn, Mouse from the Reservoir Dolls is your lead jammer with number 14, Darling Nikki, hot on her tail. And Mouse calls off the jam before either jammers can score any points.
Nice work by Darling Nikki, keeping it close enough that Mouse had to call it off. No points scored. Reservoir Dolls being held to the double digits. Still Vaudeville Vixen stuck on 26 for a number of jams now. On the jammer line once again, it's number 1 or 2. That is Sugar Lumps for the Vaudeville Vixens in the brown and the pink. She is going up against number B122. That is Killums in the black and the white of the Res Dolls. Action vaguely resembling Red Rover on the high school playground, or the grade school playground. Looks like the Vixens temporarily got the best of that exchange, but around the outside on one leg, and then it's B122. That's Killam's lead jammer, Resdahl.
It took a lot of poise to stay on her feet there.
She must have a bionic ankle. I'm going to listen next time and see if I can hear the sound effect. Lockness will be taking a seat in the penalty box. Resdahl's now down one blocker. And out and about on her scoring pass, that is one or two sugar lumps. Bad news is Reservoir Dolls jammer Killam's already on her scoring pass, gets through, gets 4 points, calls it off. A surgical strike. That's going to put the Resdahls over the 100-point mark. 102-26 our new score with just over 10 minutes to go in the first period or the first game.
We've certainly seen a slowdown by the Resdahls, but they're not necessarily catching up to Vaudeville Vixens.
I would like to know how many jams the Vaudeville Vixens have had 26 points. It's been about a half dozen. They haven't scored in quite a while. At this point in time, you don't really need to score very many more points with the Reservoir Dolls if you're going to play stifling defense.
Well, this time we have the veteran Major Kusanagi facing off against the rookie Mockingjay. Mustang and Rascal are trying to keep Mockingjay in the back, and they succeed, giving Major Kusanagi lead jammer status.
Mockingjay of the Reservoir Dolls, the jammer of record. She's now on her scoring pass.
As Major Kusanagi approaches the pack, the Resdahls speed up, so she has to pass them last.
Looks like the Vixens are
both jammers are in the pack on the scoring pass as Major Kaiser Susie is sent to the penalty box. And Major Kusanagi calls off the jam, but not before. Mockingjay puts 4 points on the board, maintaining the Reservoir Dolls lead in this bout.
All right, Vaudeville Vixens off the temporary schneid. They've got over 29 points with 106 to the Resdahls. 63, number Velma Von Tussle. I just said that completely backwards. But anyway, she's wearing pink and she's brown, and she's playing for the Vaudeville Vixens, and she is the jammer. She's going up against number 4 in the black and the white of the Resdahls. And I'll inform you, that's Mouse, as if you did not know this. Mouse getting deflected to the outside corner, and that is going to allow Velma Von Tussle to get out and grab the second consecutive lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens.
And with Mouse hot on her tail, she calls off the jam before either team can score.
Once again, if you're the Resdahls, you're not terribly concerned with offense at this point, so if you can keep the Vaudeville Vixens off the board, even if you're not scoring points, it's probably working to your advantage to a certain extent. On the jammer line for the Reservoir Dolls, that is number 10 inches, formerly reported as 10 meters, Sprout in the tail. She's going up against number 14, Darlie Nikki in the brown and the pink. A little jammer on jammer action, but she's being escorted to the outside by, I believe that is Loch Ness. Pack and Danger is splitting up like a binary solar system. And around and out on the inside and the outside. That is Sprout the tail, lead jammer for the Resdahls. Sprout the tail tried a nice little juke move, which was absolutely ineffective.
I thought that might be the jam where we saw some significant movement in the score.
There was some kind of movement somewhere.
We have Sugar Lumps wearing the star for the Vaudeville Vixens and Lady Hoo-Ha for the Reservoir Dolls.
Tipsy Velvet was having none of that juking stuff. Anyway, 106-29, the score is maintained. Back on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens in the brown and the pink, and that is number 1 or 2. Then Sugar Lumps, she's going up against in the black and the white of the Resdahls. Number 31, that is Lady Hoo-Ha.
But these are both strong jammers with a 3-2 pack advantage. You're going to have to give it to the Vixens on this one. That Lady Hoo-Ha is first in the pack, then is her lead jammer.
Both jammers knotted up closely.
Kaiser Susie leads jammer tail with Happy-Go-Lucky going in, and Lady Hoo-Ha calls off the jam.
At that point in time, you see the strategy of trying to keep moving and stay in front of the pack and not be caught up by that jammer pay off for the Res Dolls. They don't surrender a point, but gain 2 as we dip under the 6-minute mark of the first period. Back on the jammer line for the Res Dolls, wearing the black and the white. That is number 4. That is Most. She is going up against number section 9, Major Kusanagi, in the brown and the pink of the Vaudeville Vixens.
And Norb, you gotta wonder how much of an advantage is conferred by the Bug Shield.
Well, a lot if you happen to be skating outside in July. It's also good. Oh, apparently a great amount of advantages conferred. In point of fact, lead jammer with the Bug Shield and all. Section 9, Major Kusanagi.
Nothing takes you out of a jam faster than a bug in the eye.
If you hit those lightning bugs and they make the big splat on the visor and they glow, that can also be disconcerting. I'm glad that the skaters are weathering those hazards appropriately. Also kind of looks like that new Flash from the Earth 2 comic books. 4 points for the Vaudeville Vixens. Vaudeville Vixens cut into that lead. It's going to be 108 for the Res Dolls. 33 for the Vaudeville, 32, 33 for the Vaudeville Vixens. That's the year they repealed Prohibition, so that's a good number.
The Madrone Dolls would like to thank Super Duper. We offer digital offset letterpress and hand silk screen printing, and we specialize in CD and DVD packaging and manufacturing.
What can't those wizards do? Back on the jammer line for the Res Dolls, that's number 10 inches, Sprout Mateo. She is going up against number 63, Velma Von Tussle in the brown and the pink of the Vaudeville Vixens. Velma Von Tussle behind a rather staunch 4-wall at the rear of that pack, made up of completely black and white clad players. That's going to allow their jammer to sneak free. Lead jammer Res Dolls, Sprout in the tail. That was Lips Macker. She did a real nice job of holding the back of that pack, and once Velma Von Tussle got free for the Vixens, she zipped right back up there and gave her another bang out of bounds for good measure. 4 points for the Res Dolls thus far. Vaudeville Vixens on their scoring pass.
Looks like Sprout Tail's going to let him make another go of it. I kind of thought she was going to call it there.
Does not look like the Reservoir Dolls are playing this one too closely to the vest right now. Meanwhile, Sprout and Tail getting worked over by the Vaudeville Vixens, and that's number 49, which is 7 squared, which is also the number of Nefarious. She's going to get through. She's going to pick up a grand slam, which is good to have her hard work rewarded suchly. Tail once again dancing between those defenders. I think she's got Mustang to beat. Mustang's got to let it go. And that is another 5 in the sky, another grand slam for the Res Dolls. Well, Res Dolls had been controlling the back of the pack. They've moved to the front. They're controlling that as well. It appears no matter where they are placed, they are sort of master of their domain, as Jerry Seinfeld once said, but I don't necessarily mean it in a Jerry Seinfeld context. But that's going to be 4 more points for the for the Vaudeville Vixens, and 4 more points for the Res Dolls. It's going to be 126 to 37, 127 to 37.
We'd like to thank Tex Tubbs Taco Palace, a Feed the Dolls sponsor. Tex Tubbs Taco Palace, 2009 Atwood Avenue, tacos, tequila, and fun.
I would like to leave in the middle of the boat and go there. However, leaving the jammer line, oh my gosh, around on the outside. Is that Sugarlumps? I was too busy thinking about tacos and tequila, and I wasn't paying attention to the jammer number. I beg my pardon, that is Susie Homewrecker.
Sorry, Susie Homewrecker.
350 degrees of fun and velocity. So, a nice lead jammer pickup for the Vaudeville Vixens. The jammer for the Res Dolls, that is number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha. She's on her scoring pass.
That was a heartbreaking block that kept her from going through the inside there. I really thought she was going to get right through.
I don't think the heart was the only thing broken on that particular block. However, she does pick up 3 points for the Vaudeville Vixens. And our new score is going to be 126 for the Dolls and 40 for the Vixens as we tip under the minute-and-a-half mark. This very well might be the last jam of the first half of the first game here. Back on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens, same person they started the period with. That's number 14, Darling Nikki. She'll be heading up against number 6, a Wipeout Scout in the black and the white to the Res Dolls. Both backs are going to be a blocker down and around on the outside. It is Wipeout Scout number 10, lead jammer for the Res Dolls. Excuse me, number 6, like Bill Russell. Darling Nikki on her scoring pass. Vaudeville Vixens down to 2 blockers in the back. Reservoir Dolls down to 3. And Wipeout Scout's going to call that one off after scoring 4 points, and I believe that means we're going to get one more jam in before the halftime period. I think she called it off at the 32-second mark, which allows us time enough for one more jam. On the jammer line for the last jam of the first period, we've got number B122, that is Killums for the Res Dolls. And with the Mug Shield of Glory, in the pink and the brown, we've got Section 9 Major Kusanagi. Maybe it's a sneeze shield like on salad bars. Anyway, Major Kusanagi driven to the interior on turn 1. Comes back out, tries an opposite tack. Meanwhile, nice 2-wall in front by the Vaudeville Vixens. It can delay, but it cannot stop the tie-clad Killums from picking up the final lead jammer of the period for the Res Dolls.
Rascal and Chigglums have both been released from Jammer Jail, helping their team regain a path advantage. And that advantage release for Kona. Major Kusanagi trying to get past Kaiser Suzanne from the tail, while Killums is coming through for her scoring pass.
Big defense by the Reservoir Dolls. I think they are thinking they are going to go up 100 on this pass if it is articulated correctly. Let's count the fingers. That's 5 fingers. That is another grand slam for the Res Dolls. I think they are now up at even 100, 140 to 40.
And I'd say the vast majority of that is grand slams, Norman.
That's good because the math is easier on that.
Yeah.
And Major Kusanagi is deposited into our midst. We appreciate her headgear. She takes off back into the fray once again. And that is a 15-point jam now for Killums, 145 to 40 our score. Major Kusanagi having a rather rough go of it. She's been knocked to the outfield, she's been knocked to the infield. If there's a center field in roller derby, which there isn't, she's probably going to get knocked to that next. And Busta Crimes tries to find the center field to knock her into.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is Kaiser Souza's 300th career jam. Look at her hand.
That's a lot of jams. If this is bowling, she'd just have bowled a perfect game.
Refresh yourself. It's intermission time. The concession stand is open and ready to serve you.
Blocking for the Vixens is number 255, Tipsy Velvet, who holds the distinction of having played roller derby in 3 different countries. Ask her about it at the autograph table following the bout.
And Peck splitting into rather a binary universe, and lead jammer once again picking up where they left off. Number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha of the Res Dolls. Meanwhile, there had been a jammer penalty on the Vaudeville Vixens. I did not even see that occur, but it is a power jam for said Reservoir Dolls. They are the only team who can score. Till further notice, and score they do with a grand slam for Lady Hoo-Ha. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Lady Hoo-Ha with another 5-point grand slam. That's 10 for this jam. We'll see if she can beat the 35 that she did in the first half.
Reservoir Dolls very content to control the back of the pack, allowing the Vaudeville Vixens to hold the front and sort of leaving Lady Hoo-Ha to her own devices in order to penetrate and score.
And Darling Mickey's released from Jammer Jail, ending Lady Hoo-Ha's power jam situation.
That's another grand slam for the Res Dolls and Lady Hoo-Ha. Freed from the penalty box, the Vaudeville Vixens jammer was on her scoring pass, had the jam called. So thus, Darling Nikki shall return to the bench pointless, and our new score shall be 163 to the Reservoir Dolls, 40 for the Vaudeville Vixens. Back on the jammer line for the Reservoir Dolls, it's number 4, Mouse. She's going up against number 1 or 2, Sugar Lumps, into the brown and the pink of the Vaudeville Vixens. How's my enunciation?
Perfect from here, but you're shouting in my ear directly.
I wish everyone could have such personalized service. And that is another lead jammer picked up for the Reservoir Dolls by the immortal Mouse, number 4. Being trailed very earnestly by Sugar Lumps. She's going to call it off after 2 points for the Reservoir Dolls. 1 point for the Vaudeville Vixens, however. 165 to 41 is our new score. I beg your pardon, 165 to 42.
And I've just been informed by the stats crew that this is Busta Crimes' 300th jam as a blocker. Busta Crimes in her 300th blocker jam for the Mad Rollin' Dolls.
The jammers being knocked left and right by their mutual opponents. And the jammer once again for the Reservoir Dolls. That's number 10 inches, Sproutin' a Tail. Oh, it looks like a track-cutting penalty will be sending Major Kusanagi to the penalty box. It is a power jam for the Res Dolls. The Vaudeville Vixens can ill afford such a misstep.
That's true. 4 grand slams is not what the doctor ordered.
Depends what doctor. That sounds like kind of a Dr. Nick thing. Elvis's physician. And referees are pointing and gesticulating. Meanwhile, there's a grand slam for number 10 inches, Sproutin' a Tail, and the Res Dolls. Refs are not going to take it. Res Dolls down to 2 blockers. Bad news is the Vaudeville Vixens are down to 2 blockers. They're also down to 0 jammers.
Deficiency. They definitely are not so good. The Vaudeville Vixens have a jammer deficiency, so they are not able to score points no matter how many blockers they have. Sproutin' a Tail is passing 3 and getting 5.
That's another grand slam for Sproutin' a Tail and the Res Dolls. She does what looks like a minor seizure, then parts the 2 wall of the Vaudeville Vixens for yet another grand slam. Oh, we've got one of those newfangled hand signals, and that is going to send the Vaudeville Vixens skater jammer back to the box. I believe that is the insubordination hand signal. And firearm shot to plenty by Sproutin' a Tail. I'm not sure how many points she scored on that one, but it was a lot. 30.
About 30.
30 something.
We were at 65 before, I think. 165.
This game is rife with 35-point jams. Never have I seen a game rifer. On the jammer line for the Res Dolls, jamming unopposed. That's number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha. If you hate people, you will like this jam because that's about the lowest amount of people you can get on the track and still have a game. Meanwhile, lead jammer once again to the Res Dolls and Lady Hoo-Ha.
And Lady Hoo-Ha's working on putting up not just a personal best, but I have to imagine something approaching a league best this evening.
I would relish the opportunity to peruse the score sheets when they are posted. That's another 5. I think The Reservoir Dolls Jam refs' fingers are going to get tired from holding them up in the air like this. They're going to be prematurely stiff and arthritic.
And with that grand slam, Lady Hoo-Ha has scored her 400th career point for the Reservoir Dolls.
Doing it with grace and style, no less.
I think she got about half of those points in the first half of this bout.
Meanwhile, the Res Dolls have noticed that there is a jammer wearing pink and brown back into the game, and they are turning their attentions toward her. Yet another grand slam for Lady Hoo-Ha. Stop me if you heard that one before.
But this one took a while, thanks to the efforts of Velma Von Tussle in front. She really made it difficult.
Velma Von Tussle with only one fellow vaudeville vixen to help her through that pack. Once again, another grand slam. Hokey smokes Bullwinkle. Lady Hoo-Ha is breaking the odometer on my mind. Looks like Lady Hoo-Ha going to be taking yet another scoring pass. That one was relatively easy. And she's going to skate this one out. Yet another grand slam for Lady Hoo-Ha. My goodness gracious. Major Kusanagi dejectedly headed off to the penalty box. I would say that the Vaudeville Vixens are in a bit of disarray right now.
Fortunately, in her defense, I believe this is Major Kusanagi's first bout under the new rule set. In the old rules, you were allowed 4 track cuts before you had to serve time in jammer jail, and I think that's working against her now, getting used to these new rules.
Looks like that was another 35-point jam for the Reservoir Dolls. That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
That is either a record or a tie. We're waiting for the stats crew to get back to us. On the line now, we have number 50, the Heat, wearing the star for the first time in this bout.
Reservoir Dolls have 225. That's 9 times 25, and the Vaudeville Vixens have 42. That's 6 times 7. So there's that. There's that.
And also the answer to the life, universe, and everything.
Thank you, Douglas Adams.
And you're down to a little over a half hour to vote for your worst tattoo at Mad Roland Dolls bout number 3. We will stop voting when halftime is over. And announcing our winner halftime of the second bout. So please, go vote.
I already submitted my vote, and I voted for the ugly one.
That doesn't narrow it down.
The Mad Roland Dolls is a 100% volunteer-powered organization. Today's bout in our 9th season wouldn't have been possible without our dedicated group of volunteers who bring it all together. A big thank you to our boat production couple, John and Jean Lane, who work with the staff here at Alliant Energy Center to get us into this facility and make all this possible. Special thanks to John for coordinating tonight's volunteer shifts.
Take this opportunity to thank the Wisco, Willie Street Pub and Grill, and Good Times Emporium. Call it what you like, it's the Wisco and the birthplace of roller derby in Madison.
The NSOs, the referees, and the team captains are discussing the assessment of penalties right now, so they're the ones that called this time out, and we will be back on the track with more action as soon as they get things sorted out.
There were a lot of whistles there at the end.
Absolutely.
And those whistles were brought to you by Velvet Waxing Studio. Let Velvet Waxing Studio assist you with your blocker or take a few laps around your hair. Free services, Velvet Waxing. Did I read that right?
I certainly hope not.
When decorum is restored and the jam starts anew, it looks like we will have a new jammer on the jammer line for the Res Dolls, number 50, the Heat. And the crowd goes wild.
It's very typical to see the Heat with the pivot panty on her head and Mouse with the jammer star on her helmet. I don't recall ever seeing Mouse as the pivot and Heat as the jammer before.
this is an official timeout. You can tell because the officials are doing what appears to be a very strange version of the military press. No, curls? I can't remember. Do you have a few words from our sponsor?
I do. I have a lot of words from a lot of our sponsors, including Verona Wine Cellar, locally owned and operated, specializing in wine and craft beer, home of the Grape Whisperer.
And it looks like Major Kusanagi has been expelled from the game.
I believe it's excessive fouls, 7 trips to the penalty box and you're out. I think she makes. The major makes.
If you go to the penalty box, or rather if you spend 7 penalty minutes, it's like fouling out in basketball. You have to go away and you are no longer in the game. Meanwhile, another grand slam.
He is your lead juror. And the crowd am loving it.
I beg your pardon, I had prematurely announced a grand slam call because I was so used to saying it.
And on her first scoring pass, Heat getting held up by Darling Nikki.
Darling Nikki with some excellent positional defense, they call that, on the Heat. Keeping her chained up, not allowing her to run wild with that grand slamming capacity.
We are seeing some incredibly cohesive blocking right now from the Vaudeville Vixens, and that is one of the things that makes Power Jam a double-edged sword, is that the blockers have nothing better to do than make your life hell.
I never looked at it that way.
Heat gets through her for a 5-point grand slam, picking up her those points for the Vaudeville Vixens jammer that was in the penalty box.
Looks like filling the void left by Major Kusanagi as far as the jammer position goes for the Vixens. Major Kusanagi having a fouled out. That is Montana Slana, the captain of the good ship Vixens. Meanwhile, back on the jammer line for the Rez Dolls, number B122, Killums. She's going up against number 7 in the brown and the pink of the Vaudeville Vixens. That is the Rascal, which rhymes with Eddie Haskell. The pack looking like black licorice. As far as Rascal is concerned, they are dunking it up pretty darn good. And out and around on the interior and the exterior, it is number B122, Killums, your lead jammer for said Rez Dolls.
A 5-point grand slam.
That's the best kind. Meanwhile, the Vaudeville Vixens jammer is on her scoring pass. That is number 7, Rascal. She's got some ground to make up, and she will make up none of it. For the jam is called after another 4-point pass for the Rez Dolls, courtesy of Killums. Bulging that score out to a 197-point lead. Look at it this way, folks. If the Vaudeville Vixens do come back, you will have seen the most historic game in the history of roller derby. And on the jammer line for the first time tonight for the Rez Dolls, that is number K155 or Kiss, I'm not sure how you say it. That's Lip Smacker. She's going up against number 1 or 2. That is Sugar Lumps for the Vaudeville Vixens, being held in check right now by that rear wall of the Rez Dolls. And lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls, it is in fact Lip Smacker. Lip Smacker hit a big 3-wall of Vaudeville Vixens up in front. She called it off after scoring. I couldn't exactly see the fingers, but it looked like 1 point to me. 2 points. I beg your pardon. Well, it's now an exactly 200-point lead. So if you drink on things like 200-point leads, I think this is your time. It's also a full house if you're playing Yahtzee with the 4s and the 2s. 2s over 4s. Huzzah. Speaking of fours, jamming for the Res Dolls, that is Mouse in the black and the white. She is going up against Darling Nikki, number 14 for the Vaudeville Vixens in the brown and the pink. Vaudeville Vixens jammer, Darling Nikki out and through. She's your lead jammer.
And Darling Nikki there ran into what we've been seeing a lot all night from the Reservoir Dolls. The jammer gets up front and gets sandwiched from the left, the right, and the front, and just has to call it off.
That is a tough combination to overcome. However, the Vaudeville Vixens do score 3 on that. Our new score, 242 to 45. Back on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens. That's number 7 in the brown and the pink. That is Rascal. She is going up against number Pip. I don't think we've seen her on the jammer line yet tonight. That is Busta Crimes.
We'd like to remind everybody of tonight's after party, which will be at Vintage Brewing Company.
Busta Crimes, lead jammer for the Res Dolls.
While Rascal struggles to get through those Red Doll blockers, Block Ness, Colognes, and Sprightly Tail just holding her back. And Busta Crimes busts through the back for a 4-point.
And it looks like Busta Crimes has lapped her opposite number on the Vaudeville Vixens. She's going to get a jammer lap point for that. And looks like that block was adjudicated clean. No penalty assessed as far as I can tell. And around on the outside for a grand slam. It is in fact Busta Crimes.
Just a reminder to visit the shout-out box at the merch table. All donations to the shout-out box go directly to Dane County Special Olympics. You can welcome a derby version, wish someone a happy birthday or happy anniversary, cheer on your favorite skater. Make us say any silly old thing you want for only $1 at the shout-out box at the merch table up front.
No idea.
We have a shout-out for Lady Hoo-Ha. Hey, Lady Hoo-Ha, you seem to understand what turns a guy like me into a derby man.
We've got another new jammer for the Res Dolls. That's number 9mm. That's Shenanigans. In case you're wondering what the curious strategy was employed there, the Res Dolls hung back. They were sort of hoping to get enough separation that the referees called a no-pack situation because the skaters must be in reasonable proximity to each other. And if you're not, the pack is non-existent and you gotta let the jammer go. And round 4, another grand slam. That is none other than Shenanigans, and the Res Dolls at another 5 points.
Sugarloaf takes away to jammer jail, but there's no room at the end. So she's going to go in and serve her penalty later. Dinah Steiner and Bubba Von Tussle currently have those seats.
Rascal out of the penalty box just in time to get blasted by number 34 of the Res Dolls. That's Kaiser Susie.
Well, that's a tough pack to get through. There are twice as many black blockers out there as there are brown right now.
That'll both do it. That's another grand slam for Shenanigans. And that looks like a trip to the penalty box for Sugarloaf.
But she's going to have to wait her turn.
Looks like the other blockers are... Well, while they figure out who's going in the penalty box and who's just goofing off, we have got another 5-point pass for the Res Dolls. Res Dolls making this one look easy. And we are thinking that Sugarlumps might have just taken her 7th visit to the penalty box. We'll wait for official confirmation on that, but we may not be seeing her again for the rest of the evening. Vaudeville Vixens do pick up 4 points on that, and that's matched by Shenanigans' 4 points. So our new score at the all-important 13-minute and 12-second mark of the second period is 274 for the Res Dolls, 7 squared for the Vaudeville Vixens, and the Vixens are going to take a timeout. So I guess we're going to tell you important things. I'd like to tell you that in the box office with her hidden stash of brownies is Boxy the Box Officer, assisted by Baruch Assault. At the will call table is Mad Roland Doll's ticket manager, Mass Myrtle, assisted today by Crazy Cat. And taking your tickets, as always, the brothers Scott and Brad Merrick.
We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Willie Street Co-op. We are a full-service grocery cooperative specializing in natural, organic, and locally produced foods. And WMMM 105.5 FM. 105.5 Triple M, world-class rock.
I expect no less. And now it looks like we have an official timeout being called. In addition to the timeout that was taken by the Vaudeville Vixens. Apparently we just can't get enough of this wild hula hoop action. You Madisonian and your wacky customs.
And a thanks to WORT, Back Porch Radio in Madison. Tune in any time of day or night to hear great alternative music, news, and public affairs programming.
And it looks like action is fixing to restart. On the jammer line for the Res Dolls in the black and the white, that is number 6, Wipeout Scout. She's going up against number 14 in the brown and the pink of the Vaudeville Vixens. That is Darling Nikki. Nikki. I'm going to say everybody's name twice. It's going to be funny. Funny. Actually, I'm already sick of it, so never mind what I said earlier. Official timeout still in effect. You can tell there's an official timeout because there's an NSO taking life and limb into her own hands by standing in the middle of 10 rabid roller derby skaters, hoping that they don't all just take off and steamroll her.
The reason for the timeout is we are currently trying to figure out the exact reason and circumstances behind Sugar Lump's expulsion.
I'm just going to look it up in the gossip tabloids next week.
Grapevine. The Grapevine, Darling Nikki treating us to the Grapevine. Or is that shuffling off to Buffalo?
If it's a grapevine, it's nothing to whine about.
I think Buffalo is that way. She's shuffling away from Buffalo. Which kind of makes sense if you've ever been to Buffalo.
Shuffling off to Toronto.
She looked more like she was shuffling off to Fargo. Oh, wait. My internal compass is out of true. Well, let me tell you one gosh darn thing about it. Measuring twice for our Florence setup was K.O. Kimmy, along with Hazard, Peter Rabbit, Dex, and from the Windy City Rollers, Joe Krug. Today's stats crew is led by the lovely Habubi, with Afro Smitey, Scarlet Bruise, Shantastic McAwesome, Megalomaniac, and the Boston Strangler, open parenthesis, and lib on him, close parenthesis. Very well then. The Boston Strangler, not to be confused with the Shropshire Slasher from that Bugs Bunny cartoon. Look, it's a bunch of monkey shines.
Shenanigans.
No Shenanigans plays for the Reservoir Dolls.
I am sorry, I was confused.
Meanwhile, Monkey Shines actually plays for the Fox Cities Foxes, so I guess it's kind of a horse apiece.
In Sugar Lumps was expelled for intentional tripping, not for excessive trips to the penalty box.
You know what I like? I like when the crowd goes, so it's come to this. We're trying to get the crowd to go make a slide whistle sound during the official timeout thing. Oh, and as if by magic, As if by magic, the official timeout has ceased and action will resume in this pulse-pounding, thrill-a-minute game between your Resdals and your Vaudeville Vixens.
Resdals had the rookie Wipeout Scout going up against the Vaudeville Vixens veteran, Darling Nikki.
I'm beside myself with excitation. And around on the inside, she's got one to beat. Looks like Mustang, I believe, is the foremost blocker. And sneaking that lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. That's number 14, Darling Nikki.
Well, Mustang is doing an excellent job of keeping Wipeout Scout at bay, allowing Darling Nikki to skate through on the inside and take lead jammer status. And now she's ready to start scoring.
That lead jammer status for the Vaudeville Vixens is largely due to the blocking of Mustang. She was the last blocker to beat, and she held the line, allowing Darling Nikki to sneak by. Darling Nikki looking like she wants to get. She does indeed. That's a grand slam for Darling Nikki. Darling Nikki, untouched, just races away from everybody else for her second grand slam of the jam. If she can get 5 more, we'll have another 35-point jam, and then we'll all be very excited.
The Vixens are literally standing still, hoping to encourage the Reservoir Dolls to skate outside that 20-foot zone of engagement and put them in the penalty box.
Darling Nikki did not exactly realize what the referee was doing. He was crossing his arms in an X and pointing. That means that's a track cut and you must go to the penalty box. So she took an extra lap, didn't score any points on that lap.
Now when Darling Nikki goes and sits down, that's going to release Wipeout Scout, and Darling Nikki is only going to serve the same amount of time that Scout did. But we will not have a lead jammer, so we will go the full jam clock for it to be independent. But it's about to end now. So this next game's going to start with the Reservoir Dolls putting Sprout the Tail on the line, and the Vaudeville Vixens jammer waiting on her time in the penalty box.
Vaudeville Vixens do have 61, like Highway 61 Revisited, my second favorite Bob Dylan album. And it looks like the Vaudeville Vixens will take what I thought was their final timeout, but it looks like they got one more in their pocket. Roller derby, you get 3 timeouts. They gotta last you all game long.
We'd like to thank our friends at Anala Spa Salon and Spa, locations at Hilldale on Atwood Avenue. Derby-owned shop, and you might get your hair cut by the Unholy's own Blanche Devereaux.
It would be interesting to have the real Blanche Devereaux cut your hair. I don't know what the results would be, but it would be interesting. That'd be something to talk about at the water cooler.
I was not aware that she was a trained professional in her time. It would probably be a fairly awful cut. Something similar to what we see here, actually.
Yes. In point of fact, I think my hairstylist is Blanche Devereaux. Or whatever Betty White's character was named.
We would also like to thank Anthology, a shop in downtown Madison featuring over 100 local and indie artists. We dig crafty chicks. Anthology.
None can ask fairer than that. Combat Rock is not my least favorite Clash album, but it is close. And when this Casbah gets done being rocked, we are going to see number 10 inches sprouting the tail on the jammer line for the Resdals. Vaudeville Vixens will be starting with their jammer in the penalty box. Said jammer is Darling Nikki. That confers a bit of advantage to the Reservoir Dolls.
Every other time the timeouts have gone this long, the Vaudeville Vixens have lost a player. Hopefully that's not the case, because they're already skating pretty thin.
All right, action about to commence. just over 10 minutes to go in the first period. Excuse me, the second period of the first bout tonight.
Sprout Mateo lures the Vixens outside of the zone of engagement. They gotta let her go. She's your lead jammer.
Meanwhile, the Resdolls, the only team fielding a jammer, therefore the only team that can score points, therefore the only team that can adjust the score. And that is a grand slam for the Reservoir Dolls, courtesy of Sproutin' a tail.
Some fierce blocking up front by Susie Homewrecker and Rascal, but I believe they got outside the zone of engagement and had to let her go.
That seems logical to me. That's another grand slam and a 10-point pass, or 10-point jam rather, for Sproutin' a tail. Once she realized that Darling Nikki was free from the friendly confines of the penalty box, she called the jam off. Our new score is up there somewhere. We dip under the 10-minute mark of the second period, and we've got, for the first time on the jammer line tonight, working 925. We're at 925. That's Dolly Parr-and-Me of the Vaudeville Vixens.
Dolly Parr-and-Me is one of the veterans joining the Mad Rolling Dolls in its inception 9 years ago. This is Lady Hoo-Ha's third year wearing the black and white for the Reservoir Dolls, and she is your lead jammer.
And Dolly Parr-and-Me has got to be let go by the Reservoir Dolls defense.
And ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. We have a new league record at 101 points. I believe it's tying the league record for Lady Hoo-Ha.
She gets
101 points in one bout.
What's crazy about that, today would have been my grandmother's 101st birthday. She's watching from the skyboxes, unfortunately, but I'm sure she's appreciating Lady Hoo-Ha. She just broke that record, Dr. Thumbness.
It's unofficial at this point, but I believe that brings her to 105 points.
If your temperature gets up to 105, you die. Meanwhile, Dolly Parr-and-Me mixing it up with the Resdolls' rearmost blocker, that is number 12-13, knocking Jay. Right now she's knocking Dolly.
Hoo-Ha's on her way to the penalty box.
That'll temporarily suspend the scoring. Lady Hoo-Ha taking a seat in the penalty box. Power jam situation for the Vaudeville Vixens and Miss Dolly Parr-and-Me, and she picks up 4 points and is on her way for more.
And it looks like Lip Smacker's on her way to Jammer Jail. That's going to give the Reservoir Dolls a full box. And the Vixen will have a 3-2 back advantage as the clock runs out on that jammer. With a little bit more than 7 minutes to play in this bout. We have team captain Susie Homewrecker with the star and co-captain Montana Slama with the pivot hanging on her head for the Vixens. With Mouse and Heat, the sole blockers for the Reservoir Dolls.
1-2 blockers on the track for the Resdolls. 3 for the Vaudeville Vixens, plus a jammer, the all-important person with the star on their head. However, Reservoir Dolls making the most of what they have out there, most absolutely beleaguering the Vaudeville Vixens jammer. Drove her out of bounds with her. And drove her to the outside again. Susie Homewrecker finally springs free of Mouse. She's got the heat to beat. And she's through for a lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Lady Hoo-Ha's on the jammer jail and through her initial pass, ready to start scoring points.
Every point Lady Hoo-Ha scores adds to that league record. Looks like Mouse will be taking a seat in the penalty box if she can find one. 4 points for Susie Homewrecker. That's going to end that jam as we dip under the 6-minute mark of the second period of the first game.
We would like to thank Fundamental Pete's Ask Jamboree on WSUM Wednesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. based on the tradition of loading a donkey with gifts and sending it out across the desert. Learn more at fundamentalpete.com. Although I can't imagine why you need to learn more. It's all right there.
It's all self-evident. Anyway, I was mistaken. Mouse not heading to the penalty box. Mouse playing defense. On and off that jammer line is number 14, Darling Nikki from the Vaudeville Vixens. Out in the lead, but not the lead jammer, B122. That is Killums for the Resdolls. There is no pack, and lead jammer goes to Darling Nikki of the Vaudeville Vixens. Vixens. Nikki looking like she's opting to roll the dice a little bit here. She is out and through with a 4-point pass. Didn't play it particularly conservatively. 4-point pass matched by the Resdolls. But Darling Nikki needs points, as do the Vaudeville Vixens. Mouse takes a seat to the penalty box. I think the Resdolls have bowled a perfect game with a 300 score. That's another 4 points for the Resdolls, courtesy of Killums. And furthermore, that's another 4 points for the Vaudeville Vixens. So I certainly hope you bet the over. You won't want to miss the second game, ladies and gentlemen. You will see your own Unholy Rollers taking on the visiting Fury from the Windy City Rollers down in Chicago, Illinois. A main event in any squared oval in the world. That's another 4 points for the Vaudeville Vixens. Darling Nikki has finally had enough of skating around scoring points. She calls it off. A little under 3.5 minutes to go, and on the general line for the Vaudeville Vixens for the first time tonight, that is number 01, and that is Daisy Juke. Also for the first time tonight on the jammer line, number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha for the Resdolls. I made that up. It was an intentional lie because of irony.
The Resdoll pivot, Sprout Mateo. I've just been informed that on her last jam, she scored her 300th career point. The milestones keep piling up for your Reservoir Dolls tonight, folks.
Daisy Juke had very little room to juke the licorice-like defense of the Resdolls, keeping her bottled up. And it looks like she is...
Oh, she's getting her on the back of the pack, keeping her from getting through.
Daisy Juke now on her scoring pass. Bad news is, of course, the Resdolls have scored 4 on that pass, courtesy of Lady Hoo-Ha and her league leading, tying, winning record, whatever you call that. And nice defense by the Resdolls is Lip Smacker. She sent the Vaudeville Vixens jammer outside just enough, and that's going to allow a grand slam to be perpetrated by Lady Hoo-Ha, adding to her already ridiculous scoring totals for the evening. Daisy Juke, right when it looks like she is going to get free, she winds up being elbowed this way or that. Finally, she's free with a 4-point pass for the Vixens. That's matched by and surpassed by a 5-point grand slam for Lady Hoo-Ha of the Resdolls.
Lady Hoo-Ha bursts through those blockers for another 4 points in this jam.
And in all likelihood, this will be the final jam of the first game here tonight. In the third bout of the, whatever the heck number season this is. We will be seeing on the jammer line for the Res Dolls in the black and the white, wearing the number 6, the Wipeout Scout. And for the first time on the jammer line tonight for the Vaudeville Vixens, that is number OW. That's Gertrude Awakening.
And we just wanted to let you know that several jams ago, Mouse scored her 1,800 career points.
That brings her into the 19th century. And lead jammer for the Res Dolls, it is number 6, the Wipeout Scout.
Well, it was last April during regular season play that Mouse hit 1,500 points. She hit 800 now. I wonder if she'll break 2K before the season's over.
Grand slam for the Wipeout Scout. That's 5 more points on it already. Brobdingnagian Reservoir Dolls lead. And when it rains, it pours. That is a track cut that is going to send Gertrude Awakening to the penalty box, where she will likely live out the rest of her natural life until this game reaches its conclusion. Another grand slam for Wipeout Scout, the Res Dolls. They got 339 points. I made less than that per hour working during the Reagan administration.
Now it's a good price for gas.
And that is the 3rd grand slam for Wipeout Scout. I spoke too soon. That's the 4th grand slam, 20-point jam. We've still got a little over half a minute to go. Wipeout Scout not being detained over long by the Vaudeville Vixens' valiant attempts at defense. Oh my goodness, we got hit in reciprocal hitting. Nice defense being played by number 49 for the Vaudeville Vixens. That's Donna Stunner. Res Dolls had enough of that. That's I believe that is a 5th grand slam. That's a 25-point jam and counting for Wipeout Scout. I think that's 30, and that jam is going to run on time. Your final's unofficial, but I feel pretty confident in saying this one goes to the Reservoir Dolls.
You can step out into the main entry area once the students have cleared the track. Say hi to your players, congratulate them on their accomplishments tonight, and get an autograph. And stop at the poster table, vote for the worst tattoo, stop at the merch table, and leave a shout out to benefit Special Olympics.
And if you'd like to come on, give them a hand, give them a high five.
Come on and get some roller derby girl germs on ya. They're good for the common cold. I know everybody wants to touch my gloves. Second game tonight's going to be a real humdinger jacked up. It's going to be the visiting Fury from Chicago, Illinois, taking on Madison's own Unholy Rollers. That shall commence after our outstanding halftime show.
And I'm fortunate enough to have the night off. Val Capone from Chicago and our own quad squadron Alligator will be joining Reverend Norm trackside to call the action. And for once, I get to sit and enjoy the action just like you. And don't forget to stop by the merch table and submit your suggestion for the name of the Reservoir Dolls Blue Rookie. She needs a name so she can skate and entertain you.